Yeah, what do you think of this fight here? Boatsy against Richards. Who wins that? Who wins it? Is it a 50-50 fight or what? Eddie Hearn wants Boatsy to win, don't he? He wants him to fuck up Craig Richards, so that's what he wants, don't he, Eddie Hearn? Who wins that though? It's a good fight, isn't it? You know, Eddie Hearn keeps talking about the switch, you know, that Joshua Boatsy's got, you know, how he's a nice guy, and then when he makes his ring walk, he just turns that switch and he just goes into fucking murder mode. What do you think of that? You know, that Craig Richards, he kept touching gloves with Bivol, didn't he? He kept touching gloves, you know what I mean? So it kind of suggests that Joshua Boatsy has got the edge, you know, murder-wise. You know, that Craig Richards is trying to like say, you know, I did better against Bivol than Canelo did. You know, he's trying to put himself up there, innit? What do you think of that? Do you think that works in boxing? I don't think it works, you know what I mean? You know, Cesaro, he did better against Usyk than Joshua did, didn't he? And really, Joshua, even though he's kind of gone downhill, I'd still put him above Cesaro, you know? Cesaro is like I don't know, he's like a well-paid journeyman, innit? He's like a well-paid gatekeeper. So I'd say Joshua is above Cesaro. So all that I beat him better than he beat him, it's not really a convincing argument, is it? Because like that Bivol, we might have just thought, who's this fucking Craig Richards guy? He's lost fights already. You know, I've never heard of him. You know, he's got a few losses, so I'm just going to fuck about. Yeah, but then when he boxed Canelo, obviously it's Canelo, isn't he? So he might have just stepped it up. He might have stepped his game up. We see it all the time in boxing, you know, where a boxer doesn't really respect their opponent. So they don't really prepare, you know, Lennox Lewis getting fucked up by Hasim Rahman. You know, Lennox Lewis, he was filming Ocean's 11, you know, some film with Brad Pitt. So he was just fucking about. He didn't turn up to South Africa and acclimatise, you know, in time. You know, he left it until the last minute because he was filming a film with Brad Pitt. You know, and then he fucking, in the rematch, he messed him up, didn't he? He fucked up Hasim Rahman. Took it serious in the rematch and just fucked him up. So some fighters underestimate other fighters, you know, and they've never really heard of them. So Bivol might have done that with Craig Richards. But this Craig Richards, he's trying to like use that, you know, as a way to give himself the psychological edge over Boatsy. You know, trying to put himself up there with Canelo. But if it gives him the edge, it gives him the edge, you know what I mean? If it takes him up a few levels mentally, then it's good, and it's good for him. But, you know, Canelo, he was a bit shit one against Bivol. People say it's because Bivol was a higher weight, but, you know, Canelo trying to fuck up his arm like he did against Callum Smith. You know, that little counter from Bivol. That's got nothing to do with weight, has it? That's to do with skill, you know, technique, reflexes, reactions, counter-punching abilities. And like this Bivol, he was like moving around well, you know, so that's got nothing to do with weight, has it really? That's to do with skill. That was a good counter on it from Bivol. You know, it's like what Mayweather did to Canelo as well, you know, when he just like did that little fancy shoulder block and then countered him. You know, those kind of moves, it's got nothing to do with weight, it's to do with skill. You know, Bivol's footwork caused Canelo problems, didn't it? So like, you know, people try and say, you know, Mayweather, he fought a young Canelo. You know, if he fought the Canelo of today, you know, Canelo would fucking beat him. That's what some people say, don't they? But, you know, Mayweather's footwork, like, he would have fucked up Canelo, man. You know, Bivol, he was like showing a bit of movement, wasn't he? So, you know, and he's obviously not as good a mover as Mayweather, is he? So I think Mayweather would have fucked him up anyway. I think Mayweather, prime for prime, Mayweather and Canelo. Mayweather fucks him up, schools him, you know, uses his footwork, just, you know, the little fancy shoulder block, the counters and stuff like that. Just a higher ring IQ. You know, like Bivol, that's what he did as well, didn't he? Showing a bit of IQ there, a bit of footwork. So yeah, Canelo, his footwork's not that good, is it? Like, you know, Billy Joe Sausages. He was doing all right against Canelo, wasn't he? You know, moving around until he got his eye socket smashed up. He was showing some good movement early on, wasn't he? You know, Billy Joe Sausages. So yeah, Canelo, his footwork's not that good, is it? And it's kind of showing in the Bivol fight. He got schooled, man. He got messed up, didn't he? So he tried to do that. He tried to like flip Bivol, you know. He tried to exert his strength. You remember when Nassim Hamed did that against Cesar Soto, you know, just slammed him down like that. That was quite interesting, wasn't it, from Nas? You know, he's showing that superior strength, didn't he, Nas? He had some serious power. So, you know, the black painter and decorator turning his back on that action. You know, it's not on, is it? It's no good, is it? He's not making the most of that iconic moment, you know, Nassim Hamed, you know, demonstrating his fucking power and his speed and his accuracy and his angles. You know, the black painter and decorator, he's not fucking appreciating it at all, is he? You know, he's fucking turning his back in it like that, like... He's a bit fucking ungrateful, man. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see Nas on the pads, you know what I mean, back in the day. You know, in his prime. But the fucking black painter and decorator, he's more concerned with painting a wall, innit? You don't appreciate that iconic moment at all, does he? The black painter and decorator. He's a bit ungrateful, isn't he? You know, Nas slamming him like that, you know, showing that fucking power, that strength. And that's what Canelo tried to do, didn't he? To try and, you know, show his strength against Bivol. But it didn't really work, did it? You know what I mean? You know, Joe Rogan, he was like taking the piss out of Canelo, you know, saying, ha ha ha, yeah, you was on a vegan diet for the fight. How did that work out for you? Ha ha ha. That's what Joe Rogan was saying on Instagram when he was like taking the piss out of him.
There's no real elite professional athletes at the highest level that I'm aware of that are vegan. But when I started eating meat, that's when I became at my best. When I went on my best performance run as a competitor, it was all eating meat, and that's mostly what I ate was meat. But in my mind, if you're an athlete, especially if you're in a combat sport, you need to have everything dialed in. Your recovery. You need to be doing the sauna every day. Ice bath. You need to be eating all the right food, drinking all the right water. They should hydration test you every day. You got hundreds of millions of dollars on the line. That's Canelo Alvarez.
I know.
He shouldn't be eating fucking plants. What the fuck are you doing, bro? You're eating celery? We gotta get a steak in you. You know, when Mike Tyson was in here, he was thanking me for turning him on to Wild Game.
Really?
Yes.
He's been getting Wild Game?
Yes.
Well,
I offered to get him some elk, but I never got it to him. We never connected after that.
Okay.
But he went to somewhere and got a lot of bison. He got he was eating a lot of bison before he started training again. He's like, oh my God, it made such a difference.
Mm-hmm.
He thanked me during the last podcast for turning on because I'm always talking about wild game.
Yeah.
And he's like, it made a big difference. That's what I eat now is wild game. So if Mike Tyson says that, I'd fucking listen.
So yeah, Mike Tyson, he said he felt better, you know, eating bison and meat and all that stuff. So do you think like Canelo eating fucking vegetables, you know, broccoli? Do you think it fucked him up? Because he looked better, you know, when he was on that Mexican beef. He looked a bit more aggressive, you know, when he was like drugged up. You know, when he was eating those Mexican beef fucking steroid injected steaks. He was doing better, wasn't he? So, you know, he's eating vegetables now, but it's not helping him at all, is it? And that's what Joe Rogan was saying, man. It's not beneficial, man. So yeah, what do you think Canelo does now? Does he fight Bivol again, or does he fight Golovkin? Do you want to watch that fight again? You know, the trilogy with Golovkin. I don't know, we've seen it all already now, haven't we? You know, it gets a bit boring, don't it? It drags on, you know, when you keep fucking the same woman. It gets a bit boring, don't it? It gets a bit stale, so... I'd like to see Canelo fight Bivol again, you know, and just eat some Mexican beef this time. You know, cut out all that vegan shit and just fucking see how that helps him. You know, in the rematch with Bivol. But I'm glad Canelo lost, you know what I mean? Because, I don't know, Eddie Hearn, he's a bit... You know, Eddie Hearn, he said in an interview before the Canelo-Bivol fight that, you know, I want Canelo to win because, you know, he's a good mate of mine. Do you know what I mean? You know, Eddie Hearn talking like that, a good mate. Canelo can barely speak English. How is he your good mate? You know, he's just bringing in that money, innit, Canelo? So obviously Eddie Hearn, he's trying to get his percentage. You know, he loves a pound note. So he's trying to say, oh, Canelo is my good mate. How is he a good mate, though? He's a fucking good mate. When do you ever see him outside of, like, boxing affairs? You might say, well, he might do. He doesn't, man. He's just saying he's his good mate to try and, you know, get those percentages. Because, you know, Canelo, he ranked number 8 in the Forbes rich list. You know, at $90 million earned in the past year. So Eddie Hearn is trying to take a cut of that, innit? He's trying to get involved, saying that he's Canelo's best mate, you know, trying to be all pally with him. So he keeps getting those percentages. Like, you remember before Joshua got fucked up by Usyk, you know, Eddie Hearn, he always used to say, yeah, I've been on the phone to Joshua last night. I've been on the phone to Joshua. Yeah, me and Joshua, we had a chat last night. I was on the phone to Joshua. That's what he used to say, didn't he, to Rogan. But he hasn't said that for a while, has he, Eddie Hearn? You know, since Joshua's gone downhill and getting fucked up by fucking middleweights. You know, Eddie Hearn, he stopped talking about his little phone conversations with Joshua. So now he's moved on to Canelo, yeah. You know, saying that he's good mates with him. He's not fucking good mates with him at all. He just wants that money, don't he? You know, now that Canelo is getting into the top 10 of the Forbes rich list. So you know that Canelo'S Usman as well, he's trying to like call out Canelo, innit? You know, he's trying to dress up like that. He's trying to, you know, wear those fancy clothes, trying to be all interesting and that, because, you know, I've watched him on Joe Rogan, you know, talking and that, and he's not really a big fucking interesting personality, is he? He's not really that interesting, so he's trying to like wear those clothes, you know, trying to stand out and trying to, you know, appeal to like casual fans, you know, to try and build up a fight with Canelo. But Canelo, he's not having any of it, is he? Because these UFC fighters, they don't really get paid much, do they, compared to these top boxers? And these guys are getting fucking kneed in the face, they're getting elbowed, they're getting kicked in the face, fucking, you know what I mean? They're going through all that and they're getting paid peanuts, aren't they? So that Francis Ngannou is desperate for Tyson Fury to fight him. You know, when you look at their fucking earnings in their fights, you know, it's a big difference in it. So that Francis Ngannou is desperate to fight Tyson Fury, you know, to get the bag. And that's what that Canelo'S Usman's trying to do, isn't he? He's trying to dress up like that, trying to be all interesting. You know, trying to get attention and that, trying to build up a fight with Canelo. You know, and get that payday. Because these UFC fighters, man, they're getting paid peanuts, you know, compared to the top level boxers. Like Canelo and Tyson Fury, these guys, these Francis Ngannou's, these Canelo'S Usmans, you know, these guys are fucking in a much tougher sport, aren't they? But they're getting paid a fraction. You know, Dana White, he's robbing them and he's scamming them. It's a bit like Vince McMahon, you know, these wrestlers, these WWF wrestlers. They used to like have to wrestle like every weekend. You know, they were getting slammed and smashed up, you know, and getting really messed up. But they weren't allowed a day off, you know what I mean? Vince McMahon, he was on them to like fight all the time. So a lot of these wrestlers, you know, I've listened to their interviews and they say that they used to take drugs, you know, like painkillers, you know, to deal with the pain of having to wrestle like every week, getting slammed. I know wrestling's fake, but they are actually getting slammed, aren't they? So they used to take painkillers, yeah, and they used to drink a lot of alcohol, you know, take a lot of cocaine, you know, to deal with their pain and their exhaustion. You know, Vince McMahon, he ran them into the ground, so a lot of them died. You know, from drug overdoses when they were like 40 years old. You know, because they took overdoses because of the pain that they was in, you know, because of Vince McMahon. And that's what Dana White's like, you know, he's kind of paying these UFC fighters peanuts. You know, Francis Ngannou's desperate to fight Tyson Fury in it for that payday. But yeah, I'm going to wrap it up, you know. I'll probably do a live watch along, you know, for the boxing tomorrow. So, see you later, yeah.